Hidden Billionaire Exposed. When an employee's mockery sparked an incredible, life-changing lavine in the quaint town of Harrisburg, the chill of late winter settled like a heavy blanket, stifling hopes beneath its weight. Jake Collins, a 32-year-old single father, trudged through life, carrying every ounce of worry for his young daughter, Lily. Every shift at the local manufacturing plant was a battle against the grinding economy, a constant reminder of how fragile their existence was. Yet, Jake's humble smile never faltered, reflecting a principled character wrapped in grit and determination. But deep within, he felt adrift, more an invisible cog in the machinery of life than a man chasing dreams. Then Megan Farrow walked through the factory doors, bringing a gust of fresh ambition with her. She spoke with passion, her polished words flowing like silver, painting a world of efficiency and success. But as she spoke, her gaze flitted over Jake and his co-workers, belittling their struggles without even knowing. The room grew thick with tension, a collective gasp escaping their lips. In that moment, a spark ignited within Jake, fueled not just by indignation but by the undeniable truth: they were hardworking men and women, deserving of respect. "You think it's easy for us?" Jake's voice broke the silence, raw and trembling with emotion. "We're not just numbers on a spreadsheet." He stood, trembling yet solid, his words spilling like molten steel. Around him, his colleagues exchanged glances, their struggles mirrored in one another's eyes. The silence hung there, electric and charged. Megan, taken aback, analyzed this unexpected confrontation. "You don't know what it takes to keep this place running," she began, but her voice trailed off, unveiled vulnerability softening her firm facade. Forced into an uneasy collaboration on a project for better factory conditions, Jake and Megan collided in a whirlwind of awkward exchanges and shared glances. Days turned into nights as they navigated their differences, peeling back layers to reveal their truths. Jake spoke of late-night struggles to pay bills, glancing at pictures of Lily that lit up his phone. Megan, in turn, shared the burdens of her elite upbringing, the suffocating pressure to achieve recognition, feeling isolated in her own pursuits. As they forged an unexpected bond, the plant's serene rhythm shattered with news of sudden layoffs. Panic rippled through the community, drawing neighbors close, reaffirming the strength in their ties. Megan watched amidst the chaos, witnessing the immense heart and resilience of the workers, the very traits she overlooked in her tunnel vision. Uneasiness coiled in her stomach as truth began to seep into her consciousness. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Just as Jake and Megan stepped into tender territory, a buried secret loomed nearby. Megan, sorting through old records, stumbled upon an unthinkable truth: Jake was hiding a legacy, a long-lost heir to the factory, wrapped in layers of humble existence and obscured by years of struggle. The revelation crashed over them like a tidal wave, forcing both to confront not just their prejudices but the intertwined destinies that had brought them together. Unresolved emotions bubbled beneath the surface, wrapping around their hearts as they stood at a crossroads. Could they embrace something beautiful, something more profound than mere circumstance, or would the heavy weight of societal expectations drag them down? The air buzzed with possibilities, but uncertainty loomed, leaving them caught in a moment that felt like the calm before an emotional storm. The following days in the factory felt charged with tension. The familiar rhythm of machines clattering away alongside the whispers of uncertain workers created an atmosphere thick with anticipation. Jake could feel the weight of that revelation pressing down on him. How could he face Megan, knowing she now held a truth that could change everything? Megan, too, was caught in a swirl of conflicting emotions. The surprise of discovering Jake's true lineage both thrilled and terrified her. The man she had come to admire for his authenticity and hard work was tied to a legacy she had never understood. There was a twist here, one that could unravel the bond they were starting to form. Would he resent her for uncovering it? Would he push her away, burdened by fear or pride? On one chilly evening, as darkness cloaked the factory parking lot, Jake found himself leaning against his car, staring blankly at the asphalt. The dim light cast shadows over his features, revealing the weariness etched on his face. Just then, Megan approached, the soft crunch of gravel under her shoes echoing in the silence. Jake, her voice was tentative, like a thread hanging on a fragile breeze. "Hey," he replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "What's up?" She bit her lip, gathering her thoughts. "I found something out. About you." His heart raced, adrenaline mixing with dread. "Yeah. I know." Megan took a step closer, her presence radiating warmth in the chilled air. "You're not just an employee here. You're the heir to the factory." He interrupted, the frustration bubbling inside him. "Listen, Megan, it's just a title. I'm still me. I'm still trying to get through every day like everyone else. But you have a choice now. You can change everything." Her eyes glinted with urgency. Jake turned away, bracing against the tidal wave of vulnerability that threatened to sweep him under. "And what? Have everyone hate me more because they think I'm taking something from them? I can barely keep my head above water right now." A heavy pause lingered between them, thick with unspoken fears. Finally, she reached out, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. "I didn't mean to." He spun around, feeling the heat of her palpitating emotions. "What do you think this is? A game? I don't want to play a part in some corporate drama. I just want to focus on Lily, not on politics and wealth." Megan stepped back, her brow furrowed. "But what if you could help the workers? You understand them, Jake. You've lived their struggles. You could advocate for real change." An ember of resentment flickered within him, but beneath it was something else, a spark of hope. Was there a different path? He looked into her eyes, where passion fought against the confusion of the situation. "What do you want from me?" he asked, his voice hushed yet charged. "Just be yourself." "That's all I ever wanted," she replied softly. They stood there, a breath apart, two souls tangled in circumstances that felt enormous and impossible to navigate. The distant hum of machinery filled the space around them, echoing the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Is this where they part ways, each carrying their unshared burdens alone? Or was this the moment to forge a new reality together, despite the odds stacked against them? As they locked eyes, one question hung in the air like a promise, waiting to be addressed: can love truly conquer the weight of a hidden empire? The days that followed felt like a slow-motion spiral for Jake. Each clank of machinery resonated in his ears, amplifying the weight of the truth he had barely accepted. He moved through his tasks like a ghost, gradually losing the fire that once fueled his passion for the work. Every glance from his coworkers was a reminder: did they know? Was he still one of them, or was he now a figure of resentment and envy? Megan noticed. She watched him, worry etched across her face. In the break room, the usual camaraderie was strained. Silence filled the air as colleagues exchanged anxious looks, whispering about the heir that had just stepped into their midst. It gnawed at her, this divide that seemed to grow thicker with every passing hour. The warmth they had shared felt distant, replaceable by the chill of misunderstandings. One afternoon, Megan approached Jake as he slumped against the wall, lost in thought. "You've been really quiet lately," she said, puncturing the silence that enveloped them. He looked up, eyes heavy. "And what's the point of talking anymore? It feels like everything's been turned upside down." "Megan, I'm scared. Scared I'll lose everything, the people I care about," he admitted, raw honesty lacing his tone. She stepped closer, her heart racing. "But how can you lose them? You have to see that this is a chance. You could be their voice. The world isn't black and white, there are so many shades in between. You could be the one to change it." His laugh wasn't one of joy, but a strained exhale of disbelief. "Change? I'm just a kid who used to fix machines. I'm not some savior. I'm not even sure I belong in this conversation." Megan's gaze softened, filled with a determination that seemed to shine even in the dim light of their surroundings. You belong, Jake. You're dealing with this like anyone else. Remember who you are, where you came from. That hasn't changed. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling to the surface. You don't get it. I'm not a beacon of hope. I'm just a guy with an unwanted title dragging me down. It's not enough to just want to help. What if I mess everything up? Megan took a moment, digesting his words. She saw past the turmoil, past the doubts. What if you don't? In all the uncertainty, there's still a chance for something amazing. Jake felt the weight of her gaze, her earnestness washing over him. A flicker of hope ignited in his chest, but doubt quickly snuffed it out. I just don't know if I can be what they need. Her voice dropped to a whisper, swaying gently in the thrum of machinery. You could be. Just think about it. If you stay silent, could you ever forgive yourself? He opened his mouth to protest but found that nothing came out. The factory's rhythm pulsed like a heartbeat around them, thrumming with life and unspoken dreams. In that moment, he grasped her hands. What if I try? What if I step up and speak for them? I don't want their hatred, but maybe there's something greater waiting for you. She completed softly, her cheeks flushing at their closeness. Jake's resolve solidified at her words, but uncertainty still lingered. Could he truly risk everything to find out? As they stood, tethered to one another by fragile threads of hope and fear, an unseen shift occurred. The world crackled with anticipation. What would he choose, silence and safety or a leap into the unknown? And just like that, the question hung heavy between them, daring to be answered. Would he step forward, embracing his role, or would he retreat into the shadows once more? The following days were a constant wrestle within Jake. Every second felt stretched, as if time itself awaited his decision, his voice. The bitter taste of anxiety curled in his gut, even as he replayed the moment with Megan over and over again. Her words echoed, weaving through the cacophony of machinery, threatening to ignite something in him. But self-doubt was a relentless companion. Each shout from the factory floor, every whir of gears turning added to the weight of responsibility that threatened to crush him. Could he really step out of the shadows? Was he capable of rallying the workers, lifting their spirits in the face of uncertainty? One evening after a long shift, Jake found himself alone in the break room. The fluorescent lights buzzed low, creating a sense of confinement. He stared at the half-full coffee cup in front of him, the dark liquid swirling like the storm in his mind. Was everyone really waiting for him? Did they see something inside him he could not? As he sat there, lost in thought, the door swung open, breaking his trance. It was Megan, her face lit by determination that shimmered in the dim light. She glanced at him before stepping inside, closing the door with a soft click. I thought I might find you here, she said, her tone a mix of encouragement and concern. Jake smiled weakly. Seems like my favorite spot lately. We need to talk. About what you're going to do. He sighed, wanting to dodge the conversation. But the intensity in her eyes anchored him. I don't know if I can be the person they need me to be. What if I fail? Megan stepped closer, her voice dropping. What if you don't? This isn't just about you. It's about everyone in this place who feels lost, just like you. They need a spark, a reason to believe. The weight of her gaze stirred something within him. He could feel the flicker of hope trying to break through the frost of his fears. But I'm scared. What if I don't say the right things? What if I end up making it worse? There's never a perfect moment to act. You just have to start somewhere. Even if it's not perfect at something, she replied earnestly. Just then, the factory's rhythmic noises seemed to fade. Jake found himself caught in her eyes, feeling the urge to break through his own confines. The truth loomed heavy. What if he stepped up not just for himself, but for all those who depended on him? As her words lingered in the air, Jake's heart quickened. He nearly spoke, but fear began to wrap around him again like an old coat he couldn't shed. What if I mess everything up? He finally whispered, his voice barely a tremor. Then you mess it up together. You won't be alone. You'll have me, and them. We'll figure it out. Life is never about the right answers, Jake. It's about the courage to ask the questions. At that moment, a surge of warmth spread through him. Maybe she was right. Maybe there was power in vulnerability, in letting himself be seen. Determination ignited deep inside as he glanced around the room, the tools, the coffee maker, the faint chatter from the factory floor beyond those walls, all symbols of lives intertwined. I'll do it, he said, his voice a newfound strength. I'll speak to them. I'll try. Megan's face lit up with joy, the relief washing over her. You won't regret it. He reached for her hand instinctively, squeezing it tight. But the moment was interrupted as the factory siren blared, signaling the end of the shift. They glanced at each other, hearts pounding, a shared anticipation simmering in the air. As the workers began to trickle out, Jake felt that electric tension buzz around him. He was about to face them. Are you ready? She asked, concern tinged with excitement. With a nod, he took a deep breath. Was this truly the moment he had been waiting for, the leap into a deeper purpose? And as the crowd gathered, he stepped forward into the spotlight he had once dreaded. But could he rise above his fears and truly speak for those who needed him? The crowd's murmurs fell silent as he began to speak, and in that very instant, he felt the weight of his journey crystallizing. Would this be the spark that ignited transformation, or a plunge into chaos? Jake's heart raced as he stood before the gathering crowd, their faces a tapestry of expression. Some seemed eager, others skeptical, and many were just worn down by the weight of their struggles. The fluorescent lights above buzzed, casting harsh shadows that danced across the factory floor. It should have felt daunting, yet somehow it sparked a fire within him. His palms were clammy as he fidgeted. Was it too late to back down? He could feel Megan's gaze from the sidelines, a pillar of quiet strength. It anchored him. Taking a deep breath, he opened his mouth, but no words came. Panic flared, the silence felt deafening. What if he couldn't find the right way to share the turmoil inside him? Then a voice from the back broke the tension. Come on, Jake. We're all ears. It was Sam, an older worker, his face crinkled with years of hardship yet aglow with a playful grin. A ripple of laughter spread through the crowd, momentarily dissolving the heaviness. Jake smiled, the unexpected warmth settling him. Yeah, I guess I should probably start somewhere. He shifted his weight, leaning closer to the mic. Look, I know things are tough right now. I feel it, too. We're all feeling it. But we can't forget what we're capable of together. The words, clumsy yet true, surprised even him. The murmurs grew louder as more faces turned to him, curiosity mingling with his courage. I won't pretend I have all the answers. I'm scared, just like you. I've been wrestling with the idea of, well, stepping out in front of all of you. But maybe that's what we need to be real about our fears. A soft hush fell over the crowd. It felt almost reverent, like the factory itself was listening. I'm not just asking for your trust, he continued, his voice steadier now. I'm asking for your help. We need to support each other, to stand together. We can be that spark Megan talked about. We can lift each other up. Megan's eyes glimmered with unshed tears, reflecting the breadth of unsung challenges each worker faced but seldom voiced. She was right, it wasn't about perfection, but about starting the conversation. The tension shifted, transforming into a palpable sense of possibility. The crowd leaned in. Jake could practically feel their collective heartbeat, a synchronized rhythm. We have to talk about things. The good, the bad, the ugly. Only then can we push through this. Near the front, one worker raised a hand. What if we fail? Jake locked eyes with him. Then we learn. Every step is a chance to grow. Together. The silence stretched again, a charged space of reflection, but then a cheerful shout erupted from the back. And if we succeed? What then? A chorus of murmurs filled the air, growing louder. Jake felt the stirrings of hope. Then we can finally celebrate. Together. The crowd began to cheer, the sound washing over him like warm sunlight on a cold morning. He couldn't believe what was happening. They weren't looking for a leader, just someone to show solidarity with them. And in that moment, he wasn't alone. They were a unit, fragile yet fierce. Jake's voice rose above the clamor. Let South make this place ours. What do you say? A roar filled the room, the factory vibrating with it, a living thing reacting to the waves of energy surging through the air. As the cheers thundered around him, Jake felt alive, a sense of purpose flooding his being. But as the excitement reached its peak, he spotted a flicker of movement at the back. Someone stepped out of the shadows, a face twisting in recognition. His heart stuttered. Could it be? Jake squinted through the bustling crowd, fear clawing at the edges of his newfound courage. Would this person change everything? Or could this encounter push him even further toward his breakthrough? Jake's breath caught in his throat as the figure moved closer. It was Trevor, his childhood friend, the one who disappeared when things got tough. Trevor's eyes darted around the factory, taking in the scene, and for a split second, time stood still. Jake felt a jolt of mixed emotions, surprise colliding with an empathic longing. Trevor had always been a buoyant spirit, but life had evidently taken its toll. The cheers and applause faded into a muted backdrop as Trevor's gaze locked onto Jake. The crowd continued to celebrate, but Jake felt as if he stood alone in a spotlight, the realization of Trevor's return sending shockwaves through him. Jake! Trevor called out, his voice trying to break through the chaos. Is this really you? Jake took a step toward him, feeling the weight of the past tug at his heart. Yeah, it's me, he replied, his voice steady but laced with uncertainty. What are you doing here? Trevor shrugged, hands shoved in his pockets, a nervous posture that didn't belong to the confident boy Jake once knew. I had to see it for myself. I heard about the changes. Thought maybe you needed a friend. The crowd's excitement surged around them, but the space between Jake and Trevor felt thick with unspoken words. Memories flooded back, laughter on playgrounds, dreams they once shared, and then the silence that followed when Trevor left. What brings you back now? Jake asked softly, trying to restrain the mix of hope and fear swirling in his gut. Trevor hesitated, glancing back at the crowd. I've been trying to make sense of everything, the mess I left behind. I didn't know how to face it, until now. Jake's heart raced. Could this be the moment of reconciliation they both needed? You don't have to face it alone, he said. This place, it's about rebuilding together. But Trevor looked uncertain. It's easy for you, Jake. You've always been the one to take charge. I just lost my way. Jake took a step closer, lowering his voice, feeling the urge to breach the distance. Hey, we are all lost sometimes. But maybe we can find our way back together. A flicker of vulnerability flashed across Trevor's face. You really think so? Before Jake could respond, the surrounding crowd erupted in cheers again, pulling attention back toward the stage. He could feel the energy shift, igniting something deep inside him. This was at the moment to embrace the transformative power of community, to remind both Trevor and himself that change didn't have to be faced in isolation. Let us talk, Jake urged, his heart pounding. Let us really talk. Trevor nodded, the tension in his shoulders easing fractionally. Just as Jake turned back to the crowded factory floor, a lingering fear tugged at him. The joy and hope surrounding him felt fragile. What if things didn't go back to normal? What if their shared past held too much weight? But the flickering hope in Trevor's eyes reassured him. I'll be here, Trevor said, his voice barely audible above the clamor. I'm ready to find my way back. Just don't let me screw it up again. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of possibility around them. Together, he repeated, earning a hesitant smile from Trevor. As the cheers continued, Jake felt the gravity of their shared journey pulling them both into an uncertain future, but just when he thought they'd carved out a moment of understanding, a loud shout split through the crowd. "Hey! Is it true? Is that really Trevor?" Jake turned sharply. The excitement bubbling in the crowd was now mixed with confusion and excitement. Trevor's past was coming to light, and with it, an energy of something more, a potential storm brewing at the edges of their fragile moment. "Who is starting the rumors now?" Trevor quipped, but Jake could see the alarm in his eyes. What mysteries lay buried beneath the surface? Jake's heart raced again, mixing anxiety with a rising tide of curiosity. Was Trevor truly ready to uncover everything from the past, or would this moment drive them further apart? Jake felt the air thicken as he faced the crowd, uncertainty swirling like a storm cloud overhead. Trevor's past loomed like a shadow over their fragile reunion, and the eyes of the factory workers were now fixed on them, pulsating with curiosity. He could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the crowd, a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Trevor's back." "The Trevor?" A woman shouted from the back, her voice cutting through the noise. The crowd murmured, their excitement morphing into something more insatiable, an unquenchable thirst for answers. Jake's heart raced. "Trevor, we need to get out of here, find some space." "This is too much," he urged, his voice barely above a whisper, anxiety creeping in. Trevor nodded but hesitated, taking a step back as the crowd pressed forward. "What if they don't let me go? What if they just trust me?" Jake said, reaching for Trevor's arm, feeling an electric charge course through him. They had been on the same team before, and now he felt a fierce protectiveness bubbling to the surface. He took Trevor through a maze of surprised faces and unanswered questions, leading him toward the factory's quieter corner, where the clamor faded into a hollow echo. The stark fluorescent lights flashed overhead, illuminating the raw emotion carved on Trevor's face. Fear and anticipation danced together in his eyes. "What if they want more from me than I can give?" Trevor's voice faltered, his brave front fraying at the edges. "They just want to understand," Jake reassured him. "Just like I do." Trevor looked around, wavering. "They don't know what I've done, or what I didn't do." The words lingered in the air, heavy and haunting. Jake took a breath, searching for the right thing to say. They had been children once, innocent and hopeful, but the years had introduced layers of complexity that couldn't be ignored. "We all make mistakes, Trevor. But that doesn't mean we can't make things right." Trevor closed his eyes, swallowing hard. "What if they never forgive me? They're your friends. Your family. They might surprise you." With a gentle nudge, Jake drew Trevor's gaze back to him. "You owe it to yourself to try. You owe it to them." The tension in the air felt electric, and Jake could see the tiniest flicker of hope ignite in Trevor's expression. But then the moment shattered when the loud clamor surged again, amplifying the reality that they were not alone. "Trevor! We want to hear your side." A voice called out from beyond the safety of their corner, desperate and pleading. Trevor flinched, his shoulders tensing. What if they haven't moved on? "They want closure, just like you," Jake urged. "And you need this too. You need to reclaim your place. You're part of this community, Trevor. You belong." As Trevor looked back at Jake, a new determination flickered in his eyes. "I guess I'm tired of running. I can't keep hiding from who I used to be." Before Jake could respond, Trevor straightened his posture, a determined glint in his eye. "Okay, let us face them. Let us set the record straight." Jake grinned, feeling a swell of pride seep into his bones. "That's the spirit." Together, they stepped back toward the crowd. The sound of their footsteps echoed in the charged atmosphere, and the cheers subsided as they caught sight of the two figures. Crowds parted slightly, and faces turned expectantly towards them. But just as they reached the edge of the gathering, another voice rang out, sharper this time. "Wasn't he the one who betrayed us?" Jake's heart sank. The atmosphere swung like a pendulum, swinging from unity to doubt in a heartbeat. Trevor's stone face cracked for a moment as pain washed over him. Jake squeezed Trevor's arm. "This is just the beginning. Let us show them the truth." But deep down, he wondered, could the truth really mend what had been broken? And with that lingering thought, they stepped into the fray, poised on the brink of revelation. Would Trevor finally confront his past, or would the weight of it crush the fragile hope they had built? The crowd stilled for a moment, the murmur fading into a tense hush. Jake could feel the eyes of the workers on them, a mix of skepticism and longing swirling like half-formed questions in the air. Trevor's breath hitched, every inch of him seemed to shrink under the weight of his past. "Look, I get it," Trevor began, his voice shaky. "I messed up. I made choices I thought were right at the time." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration mingling with vulnerability. "But the truth is I didn't want to hurt anyone." Another voice cut through. "How do we know that's true? You were our friend once." A few nods from the crowd signaled the shared pain that lingered like a bruise. "That was before everything changed," Trevor pressed on, his heart thumping hard in his chest. "I lost my way, but I'm here to own up to that. I want to talk about what happened. I want to make it right." Jake felt Trevor's sincerity and tried to channel that same courage. "We all deserve a second chance," he added, trying to bring an air of empathy to the moment. "Think about it, how many of us have had moments that we want to erase?" Whispers fluttered through the crowd, a wave of uncertainty washing over them. "Second chances are earned, not just given," a burly man shouted, crossing his arms, his brow furrowed in doubt. "Then let me earn it," Trevor countered, his voice gaining strength as he stepped forward, pulling Jake with him. "Let me earn each one of your trust." A tense silence wafted through the air again, hanging like fog. Jake felt Trevor's desperation. This wasn't just about salvaging his past, it was about reclaiming his place in a community that once offered him support and love. One woman, strong and unwavering, stepped into the front line. "You think we want to just forget? We're not forgetting what you did, Trevor. You hurt us." "I know. I know," he said, his face raw with emotion. "I can't change the past, but I'm here tonight, and I'm willing to listen, to talk through everything, to face what I did and where I went wrong." Uneasy murmurs arose from the crowd. Jake's heart ached for Trevor. They were still wrestling with hurt, and the road ahead felt impossibly long. From the back, another woman spoke, her voice soft but piercing. "Why should we trust you again? The scars left by betrayal don't just vanish." "I know I don't deserve your trust right now," Trevor replied, his tone steady. "But trust falls apart when we don't talk. I want to tell you what happened, all of it. If you'll give me that chance." As the crowd absorbed his words, Jake could see a flicker of something, maybe it was hope or something akin to understanding. But he also saw a wave of skepticism washing over Trevor. "Let him speak." A voice rang out, hesitant but hopeful. One moment shifted into another as Trevor swallowed hard, determination lighting his eyes again. "I was scared. Scared of losing everything. And I thought disconnecting was the safest way to deal with it. But I realize now that it only hurt those I cared about most." Emotions rippled like a current among the crowd. There was something there that wasn't just anger anymore, it was clinical, perhaps even curious. "What do you want from us?" the burly man asked again, his tone still challenging, but a hint of something softer crept in. "I want to hear you no matter how painful it may be," Trevor responded, sincerity affixed to every word. "I owe you that much. No more hiding, no more running." As his voice rang out, Jake saw the ghost of understanding beginning to take form in the crowd's expressions. A ripple of energy passed between them, and even as some remained skeptical, the door to dialogue cracked open, but just as Trevor was about to dive deeper into his story, a loud crash erupted from nearby. A commotion broke out, and Jake's heart raced. "What now?" he muttered, confusion twisted through the crowd, eyes darting as the cacophony unfolded to the side. In that instant, both hope and danger hung in the air, and Jake's thoughts spiraled. With Trevor on the edge of revealing everything, would this new disruption derail their efforts? The question loomed heavy, leaving them racing against time. Would the truth come out before the chaos swallowed them whole? The sudden crash sent shockwaves through the crowd. Gasps mingled with nervous chatter, and some people began to shift back, instinctively wanting to distance themselves from whatever was unfolding. Jake could see Trevor's eyes widen, a mixture of worry and determination etched across his face. "Stay here!" Trevor shouted as he turned, moving toward the source of the noise. Jake instinctively followed him, heart pounding. In the parking lot, the chaos revealed itself. A small group of men had surrounded a car, shouting insults at the person inside. The driver, a woman Jake recognized, a new worker at the warehouse, was visibly shaken, her hands gripping the steering wheel as if it were her only anchor. "Get out of the car, you coward!" One man shouted, his fists clenched, his face a mask of rage. "Leave her alone." Trevor's voice cut through the chaos, deep and commanding. He stepped closer, and the crowd began to follow him, curiosity morphing into protective instinct. "Who do you think you are?" The man spat, taking a step towards Trevor with aggressive intent. "Someone who won't stand by while you bully her." Trevor shot back, eyes flashing with a fierce anger. Jake admired his resolve, but the fear bubbling in his gut was hard to shake. The woman inside the car looked terrified, tears brimming in her eyes. Jake could feel the heaviness of the moment. What if this dark turn pulled Trevor back into his past mistakes? What if the crowd turned on him for standing up? "Trevor, maybe we should back off," Jake suggested quietly, but Trevor didn't budge. "No," he replied, tense and unwavering. "She needs us." The energy shifted as more people stepped forward. The crowd that moments ago was unsure now felt a collective strength. One by one, they began to shout in support of Trevor. "Back off! Leave her alone!" The man leading the attack faltered, glancing at the growing number of onlookers. He hesitated, his bravado slipping away. "Turn around and walk away," Trevor continued, his voice steady. "You've done enough damage for one day." Finally, with reluctance, the group retreated, grumbling under their breaths. As they walked away, the atmosphere transitioned from tension to relief. Trevor approached the car, kneeling beside it. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. The woman met his gaze, her fear slowly being replaced by gratitude. I think so. "Thank you," she stammered, her voice shaking. Jake watched as Trevor offered her a reassuring smile. There was something powerful in that moment. It was bravery in its purest form and a glimpse of the man he hoped Trevor would become. "This is what we need," Trevor said, turning to the crowd. "Support. Together, we can stand up against hate and mistakes. It starts here." A ripple of agreement flowed through the onlookers. Jake could feel heart starting to gauge Trevor's courage and sincerity anew. But then, as Trevor turned back to start his speech again, a loud voice called from the far side of the parking lot. "You think one good deed erases everything?" A figure stepped forwards, tall and imposing, clearly ready to challenge Trevor again. "You think people forget?" Jake held his breath, and the air around them shifted, heavy with fresh uncertainty. The moment was fragile, and Trevor's resolve hung in the balance. Could he carry this weight again? Would the crowd remain on his side? As the man approached, Jake felt a shift of energy in the air, and he knew the next few moments would change everything. Would Trevor withstand the challenge, or would his past come crashing down once more? The factory parking lot was filled with a tense energy, electric with uncertainty. Trevor stood at the center of it all, eyes steady but doubts flickering beneath the surface. The imposing figure that stepped forward, looming with accusation, made it clear this was no time for hesitation. "I know who you are, Trevor." The man barked, aggression dripping from each word. You think you can just waltz back, pretend you haven't hurt us all? The crowd shifted, curiosity and apprehension swelling in equal measure. Trevor felt his heart race, fear clawing at the edges of his resolve. I'm not pretending, he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. I'm here to face what I did, and to make it right. The man smirked, clearly unconvinced. Make it right? You think a few empty words will change things? You can't just erase the past. But that challenge ignited something within Trevor. He refocused, pulling strength not only from his own resolve but the energy bubbling in the crowd around him. I can't change the past, he shot back, his voice rising above the doubt, but I can take responsibility now. Every action I take will be a step forward, together, for all of us. A murmur rippled through the crowd, a cautious recognition of the sincerity behind his words. In this challenging moment, Trevor wasn't alone. Jake stepped beside him, shoulder to shoulder, grounding Trevor in the very support he'd been fighting to give to others. You all have been through so much, Jake added. The anger and pain are valid. But this factory, this family, we can build it into something stronger. Together. Together. Someone shouted from the crowd, fanning the flames of support. Voices joined in, a wave of solidarity that started to wash over the tension. Who else is ready to stand with Trevor? Another voice chimed in, emboldening those who had once faced Trevor's past betrayal. Slowly, hands began to raise, hesitant but hopeful. Trevor felt tears prick his eyes as the weight of the moment sank in. Maybe support was contagious, maybe, just maybe, honesty could mend what had been broken. I promise to support you, he cried out, his voice trembling, to give back. I won't run away this time. I've learned that strength doesn't come from hiding, it comes from being brave enough to face hardships together. Just as Trevor thought momentum was shifting, the challenging man scoffed again, causing the crowd to shift uneasily. You think you can just play hero now? This isn't a movie, Trevor. People don't forget. Especially not when you hurt them. But the crowd was no longer silent. They began to murmur, reshaping the narrative. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do afterward, came a voice from the front. I want to hear him out, another added, courage spiraling into the unfolding dialogue. Trevor squared his shoulders, emboldened by the palpable support. You're right, and I understand if you can't find it in your heart to trust me yet, he said, eyes scanning the faces that surrounded him. But I'm here to listen, to hear what I need to hear. Not leave for better opportunities, but to stay and confront the effects of my choices. The air shifted, charged with the beginnings of forgiveness. People leaned in, connecting as Trevor revealed the very vulnerabilities that had once ruled him. I'm scared, but I want to make things right. He called out passionately. We can create a community where we lift one another up instead of tearing each other down. The applause erupted like wildfire, cheers filling the parking lot, transforming uncertainty into collective hope. Then Jake found his voice, we are all in this together. Together, we can champion each other's struggles, and that includes Trevor's past and ours. His words surged forward with enthusiasm, igniting the connection between the crowd and the two men at the center of it all. A woman stepped forward, wiping tears from her eyes. I was afraid of losing what little we have left, but fighting divides us further. Can we try to see each other? Yes. Trevor exclaimed, glancing at Jake, whose supportive presence acted as a beacon of strength. Each nod, each understanding glance unraveled the complexities and pain, weaving a narrative of trust. At that moment, it didn't matter who had been right or wrong. What mattered was that they were all here now, and they had each other. The clang of hope rang louder than the noise of distrust that had once bogged them down. Let us build something different together, one day at a time, Jake concluded, lifting their shared vision higher. And just like that, in the heart of adversity, they weren't merely a collection of voices, they became a chorus, a united front, ready to transform their factory, their lives, and set a precedent for their community. As the crowd erupted in applause, Trevor felt a shift blossoming within him. This was his chance. His redemption had started, not alone but within a community, hand in hand with the very people he had once abandoned. In that moment, a new chapter began, one filled with resilience, understanding, and a hopeful horizon promising transformation. Change was no longer a distant dream, it was blossoming right before their eyes. Now, this story deserves an encore. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, every click means the world. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending, and don't wait not even one more second. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is what keeps stories like this alive.